Today, I'm going to be testing the scratch resistance of two metal G-Shock upgrade kits from AliExpress to see how their paint holds up to the test. As a bonus, I'm also going to reveal to you some damage I noticed with my steel upgrade kit that isn't from wear and tear. It actually arrived like this, so stick around to the end. Here are the two kits we're going to be testing. We have the steel and titanium upgrade kits from AliExpress, which you may recognize from my previous video where we compared the weights, which I'll leave for you above. The steel upgrade kit is actually what I have installed on my M5610U right now, and for those who missed out on the installation video for this one, I'm leaving that for you above. Just before we jump into the scratch test, I wanted to give a big thank you to Funplay Mix, whose idea it was for this video. And I wanted to say thanks guys recently for all the great comments. We've got some really great video ideas, so keep it up. So we are going to do a number of different scratch tests on both the steel and titanium. And by the way, if you do want to get your hands on either of these kits, I will be leaving a link for you in the description below. So let's get into the steel kit. This is our steel upgrade kit, which is installed on our M5610U, but of course I don't want to ruin this glorious watch, so we will be using it on some of the spare links. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next watch review. These are the spare links that we're going to be testing on from the steel upgrade kit from AliExpress, and I'm going to be testing with all of these tools as well as with my fingernail to see if we can make a dent. For reference, this is the pristine surface we are working with. I'll give it a quick polish, and I'm going to now try and attempt to scratch this using only my fingernail. Alright, let's take a look. That looks pretty good to me. I don't think there was any damage from the fingernail, so let's move on to the next test. Our second scratch test on the steel, we'll be using this wooden skewer. Alright, let's give it a shot. You might be able to see I'm actually busting the tip of this skewer. We're also going to use the back half, which is more cylindrical. Putting quite a bit of pressure on here, guys. Alright, that's enough. So let's take a look here. It was this link right here, and honestly you can kind of see some scuffing, but you know what, I'm going to try and polish that off because I reckon that's probably nothing serious. Okay, there you go. So there was no lasting damage, all of that just got rubbed off with the polishing cloth. Now for test number 3, which is the spring bar removal tool, which I believe to be the most likely to occur of all of these tests. Let's face it, you may be swapping out the little spring bars and you could easily slip, which I have done in the past. So we're going to test that on this second from the right link and see how we go. Okay. There you go. We did not have to put in an incredible amount of force there, and you can definitely see some damage. I'm going to attempt to polish it off and see if there's any effect, but I think that would have got through the surface. Ooh. I am quite surprised to report that that has mostly buffed out with the cloth. There is barely anything left. I reckon yeah. I am quite impressed with that, guys. What do you reckon? Does that look like it's gone to you? That's looking pretty good to me. Our fourth and final scratch test on these steel links, we'll be using a utility knife. I have the Milwaukee Fastback here, which is my knife of choice. I've done a review for this one if you'd like to check that out, but let's get into it. And just to be clear, this is not something that I believe is going to realistically happen in your day-to-day, but we are going to test it just to be sure. So I'm going to target this third link here and give it a scratch. Okay. There is the damage on the third link. As you can see, it has pierced through the surface and you can definitely see the steel underneath. To be fair with the other tests, I am going to attempt to polish this out, but I do not have my fingers crossed that it's going to fix this time because it doesn't look like that's going to be repairable. Absolutely not. So those are our steel scratch test results. If this has been valuable for you, make sure you smash that like button because we're about to move on to the titanium kit. So here we have it, and you may recognize some of the stuff in here from my other videos. We have the G-Shock that I killed, as well as the attempted lens upgrade, which is also worth watching. But what we're after here is the spare titanium links, which we're going to now put to the scratch test. Fingernail coming up. Okay. All right. Does not appear to be any damage as per the steel one. So let's move on to the wooden skewer. Brand new wooden skewer. Let's target the rightmost link. And the other side. And let's take a look. Basically has not dented it. Give it a quick polish. Nothing to report. Let's move on to the spring bar tool. This time we will be targeting the leftmost link with the spring bar tool. Let's have a look. Okay, so there is some scuffing there. Now, honestly, that does look a bit more than the steel, but let's give it a polish and see if we can get rid of that. Okay, there is definitely steel scuffing left behind, and surprisingly more so than the steel kit. Very interesting. So let's move on to the utility knife test. I will be targeting the middle link with the utility knife this time. Let's go. All right, let's take a look. Definitely got through the surface there with its scratches. Give it a quick polish. As expected, the damage has remained. So those are the results for titanium. We're now going to take a side-by-side look at the results, and then don't go anywhere because we do have our bonus on some damage on the steel kit that I've noticed. So starting with the steel straps, obviously we did have some major damage from the utility knife, but the second last link here, we actually managed to polish away the spring bar damage, which I found very surprising. Now let's compare that with the titanium. So let's have a look at the scratches. There is a bit of a similarity there. I would say that the steel appears to be deeper, the scratches, but when it comes to the next link, which was the spring bar tool, look at the difference here. The right titanium, you can still see the marks from the spring bar tool, and on the right it got completely polished away on the steel set, which is very surprising. And one of the reasons that I'm even more surprised is because if you'll recall in one of my previous videos, when I purchased this kit, I asked the seller, has it been applied with the diamond-like carbon coating, and he said yes. So for it to not be resistant to the spring bar tool when the steel is quite a statement. If you want to get your hands on either the steel or titanium upgrade kits, I will be leaving a link for you in the description below, but you now need to make a decision. Is it worth the extra cost to go from steel to titanium, given the results we've seen? It seems like it doesn't have any more scratch resistance, but as per my previous video, the titanium kit is definitely lighter to wear on the wrist. Given all of our findings from the last few videos, I'd love to hear your thoughts on which of these two kits is the better option to purchase. But either way, right now it's time for the bonus. I wanted to give you guys an update on the steel upgrade kit, which I have been wearing for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Although I did want to point out that I did commit to wear this F91W for the next 1 week, so I have stopped wearing this watch. In terms of damage, here's what I've found. So I wanted to show you a factory imperfection with this steel upgrade kit that some of the more observant of you may have noticed on some of these links as well. And that is that there is some paint missing on certain parts of the links. Okay, so if I start folding this, you'll see, look, it's missing paint there. And most notably is this big one at the top. Check this out. Look at all of that unpainted steel there. Now I don't know how or why this occurred, whether they fully assembled the strap before painting it, but you know, it's kind of a big thing to miss. So I'm not very happy about that, but I might end up just, you know, going over it with a Sharpie like I did on my titanium kit. But other than that, guys, the actual bezel, there's a few fingerprints, but there's no actual scratches or damage, and neither with the strap. There's only a minor part here where it contacts the metal as expected. As a fan of watches, I'm leaving you with our latest review of the F91W, an absolute classic, as well as another related video that you're not going to want to miss. Do consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our next watch tests and reviews. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.